Recording button. All right. Right, everybody. Thanks so much. If you're listening to us on the podcasting sites, definitely subscribe, definitely like, definitely share this interview. Good guest on today. If you're listening to us on the radio, please shout us out to your friends, your family, so we can get this out on more stations. And also, we appreciate you listening to us on one of the 20 radio stations that broadcast this show around the country. So I appreciate that as well. Uh, we have a very special guest. My collar was getting a little messy, so I wanted to fix that for people that aren't watching this. We have a special guest today. It is Bruce DeTorres. He is the Director of Communications for the American Small Business League. It's ASBL.com. The book we're going to be speaking about today, as many other topics too, is God School 9/11 and JFK, the lies that are killing us and the truth that sets us free. And we also want to talk about what he's doing with the Don't Cheat Woman initiative. So we're going to get a lot of things in here. Bruce, always a pleasure having you on. Thanks so much for coming on and meeting with me today.
My pleasure, Rob. How are you today?
I'm good. We're down here in sunny Orlando, Florida, kicking it up a notch. It was 82 degrees here. I don't know where you are, but hopefully you're at someplace warm and cozy like I am. I don't know if that's true or not.
I'm a little above San Francisco, and it's
Okay.
cool, it's comfortable, it's pretty gorgeous up here.
All right, very good, very good. Now, I want to talk about a lot of things, but let's kind of talk a little bit about you. Tell the audience, because a lot of them are just learning about you in this interview, a little bit about yourself as we kind of just start the flow of the interview.
You bet. I grew up in New Jersey, Rob,
Okay.
and I was an actor until I was in my mid 30s, and then I got a great aha about energy and the nature of existence and the nature of consciousness.
Mhm.
And I stopped acting in order to take a better job, make a little money for the first time in my life, but really to write a book about those kind of things. And then in 2004, someone told me 9/11 official story is not true. Look into it. And I got obsessed. And for 10 years, I kept following the rabbit holes. Federal Reserve, Skull and Bones, JFK assassination, MK Ultra mind control, the CIA. We could do 4 or 5 hours just about the CIA.
Yeah.
And then I decided to write a book. So 10 years I'm studying just for my own obsession. For 7 years, I wrote a book, and then it got published in 2021. God School 9/11 and JFK, the lies that are killing us and the truth that sets us free. And people can read all about it at brucethetourist.com. And I started doing my own podcasts. And I met a guy named Lloyd Chapman, and I started interviewing him. And I learned about his American Small Business League. And
Mhm.
last year he said, "You should work for me." I said, "Well, let's talk about that." So I moved from the East Coast out here
Wow.
to California last year to help him with this.
Wow, that's quite a move. I'm originally from Rhode Island, so we definitely know that Northeastern connection with New Jersey and Rhode Island, and obviously great food up in the Northeast in general. I don't know if you can get that where you are over in San Francisco. It's a little different. There's no Little Italy over there, and like there is in New York and New Jersey, a lot of Italians
Yeah.
there, a lot of good food over there. So I don't know if you're getting that over in San Francisco, but
Not in the suburbs. I'm north of the city, but I hear in San
okay.
Francisco it's got great restaurants. I haven't explored it
Okay.
much.
Okay, fair enough. So, Bruce, I want to talk about this because we actually interviewed a couple months back a guy called Richard Gage. Not sure if you heard of him.
Oh yeah, I
Very
know him.
big. Okay, he's.
Sure.
I think he's actually in your neck of the woods actually now. Now that I think about it, but regardless of that, he's been phenomenal on 9/11 Truth. He's been on the PBD podcast. I think he's been on Tucker Carlson, a couple other, but he's been preaching this from the rooftops like you have for quite a few years now. So when we talk about 9/11, because I kind of want to get into that and kind of the title of the book, because we're talking about 9/11. We'll go into JFK in just a second. We talk about 9/11. This is somebody like I'm 35. So when I grew up in the peak of 9/11, 9/11 really was like my Pearl Harbor. And I got fascinated with it too. But again, at my age, like, I don't know, I was like 10, 8, 9, something like that at that point in time. I was very much, not, my intellect was not there on 9/11. And I pretty much believed the whole entire story. But as I grew older, as I went into college, as I developed and got my master's degree, and even up till now, I've really dove deep into this. And it seems like, again, it's not just a bunch of Muslim guys flying into the World Trade Center. We have, and they've made movies about this. They call it a conspiracy theory. I think that's a total joke. But I want you to go deep into this because we hear like stories about John O'Neill, who was very deep into finding bin Laden. And he actually was at the World Trade Center. He started his first day of his first job at the World Trade Center as a security guard, the head of security, excuse me. Well, that was his first day was 9/11. He died in the attacks trying to get people out of the building. But it was very funny how all these things kind of came together. A guy that was right on the tail of what was happening died again on his first day at work in the World Trade Center as the security of the whole building. Sorry for the ramble. I'm fascinated with this as much as you are, Bruce. I want to hear your take on it. And I'm going to shut the hell up and listen.
Well, it's a very, very important story. And I encourage anyone who's got any doubts about it to dig into it.
Yeah.
It reveals how phony officialdom is, from the government to the media, and unfortunately to the whole uh, kit and caboodle, we'll say. But to focus on 9/11,
Mm-hmm.
the official story falls apart every place you look at it when you do some independent research. Um, Buildings don't fall because they're on fire. Buildings don't fall after 45 minutes or an hour and 20 minutes like that. And especially World Trade Center
7.
7, the
Right.
third building in that complex that fell at 5:20 p.m. Okay. And this is all in my book. And I have one whole chapter on 9/11 that has all this. And there's much more to it than even I was able to fit into that.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, the two major things it caused was the traumatization of the American people to soften us up to accept the eradication of many of our constitutional rights. That's the kind of
Yes.
thing our parents and grandparents and great grandparents would have really taken up arms about. Okay. But it's to protect us. It's to read all our emails and eavesdrop on all of our phone calls, or at least capture them all for retrieval and analysis whenever they might want to. Absolutely. Uh, it really was an overthrow of the United States of America. I make the case that that's when America ended with the USA Patriot Act and the Department of Homeland Security. We are not America, Rob, because we don't live under the Constitution anymore.
Right.
Everyone's got to tell themselves, I'm an adult and I can handle the truth. I can handle that truth. What do you want to do about it? Now, the other major thing it did was justify an increase to our unnecessary military to continue the money go round of all
Yeah.
the corporations and banking institutions that get fat from war. Great book, 1930s, War is a Racket by Major General Smedley Darlington Butler. War is a racket. His title says it all. It's a racket. It's a money making racket back through human history. And it allowed us to go in and conquer and destroy and exploit and rape and pillage and destabilize the Middle East.
We're definitely on the same page there. And even, if you dive deeper into 9/11, World Trade Center 7 had a Secret Service office in there. And they also had, there was a bunch of other CIA offices. There was a couple other offices of U.S. intelligence in that building. And it was funny that the day, I believe, before or after, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, Bruce, they were investigating the Pentagon, doing kind of a doge on that. There was $1 trillion missing. And then all of a sudden 9/11 happened and that investigation in Congress went kaput. No one ever found where that $1 trillion was missing and where it went, because of 9/11. And then obviously the ramp up to Afghanistan, the ramp up to Iraq. And obviously, the list went on and on after even Bush got out of office with Obama, with Trump, and now then with Biden, and now with Trump again. And it's all about making money. They don't give a damn about you or I, Bruce. They give a damn about their masters. And the politicians aren't running the country. These big people that are billionaires are the ones that are putting the monies in these politicians' pockets. They're war profiteers. There's big pharma. The list goes on and on. They're the ones that are running the country, not Donald Trump, not Chuck Schumer, not Barack Obama. These are the people that are really running the country. And some of them, we don't even know their names because they are nameless, because they hide in the shadows. I hate that we have to talk like this. It sounds like we're talking like we're crazy people, that they're hiding in the shadows. But what's true is true, Bruce. I mean, this is not some kind of conspiracy theory. This is factual information. And as you stated, the people that don't want to believe this, they're living in some kind of fake, phony society. These are the same people that during COVID, they believed everything the government said. And, you know, if you say that the government's going to help you, you really are psycho. You're lost in space. And if the government says they're going to help you, Bruce, you should run as fast as humanly possible.
Yeah. And it's important to describe and define why that is so, Rob. You were so right about that. And before I forget, what did you get your master's in?
Education.
Okay, good, good. And
Yeah.
from what I'm hearing, you know how to read. Congratulations. You
I'm a
might be in a
vivid
small.
reader like you are. I know you
Yeah.
started reading very early in life in first grade, and you really dove deep into books. I still read the newspaper. I read down here, we have the Orlando Sentinel. It's kind of a rag now because there's obviously, you know, with they're owned by the Tribune, and papers have really taken a dive since, you know, I don't know, maybe 2007, 2008. Not a lot of local stories anymore. I do read the Wall Street Journal and look at the New York Times as well. You know, I'm one of the few youngsters that still reads the paper a little bit.
Yeah, and you read it with an informed knowledge base, Rob, because you know what propaganda rags those are that you just mentioned. They're just
Well, yeah,
mouthpieces for officialdom.
right.
And the it's for those who think that what we're talking about is conspiracy stuff. That's okay. We're all busy. Life goes on. You and I can't afford to hate anybody. We have to just be firm and insistent. Hey, look, there are resources that prove what Bruce and Rob are talking about. And if you're not ready to look at it yet, great. If you're still taking recommended injections because the media and your doctor tells you to, great. But if you ever want to, look at it, I'm sure that Rob could refer some resources. I certainly can. In the back of my book, I think it's like 40 pages of the resources of where I got my information from. And you did well describe the divide. Those who actually succeed in school, these are the most compliant, maybe best-hearted, who want to rise through the hierarchy, and they've got the most degrees. They are, unfortunately, often the most obedient. And now they become the manager class, which I believe George Orwell talks about in 1984. They're the real ultimate controllers behind the scenes. And they run the apparatus of officialdom, government, media, education, pharmaceuticals, the industries, okay, the institutions. And these are marching in lockstep to the official story because their whole lives they've either trusted it or they got jobs, and then they got promoted and promoted and promoted until you're a 5-star general. You're in one of the top commanders of the military, and maybe you can't even tell yourself all of our wars are wars of aggression. They are illegal, evil, criminal acts. You can't even tell yourself that. You can't tell yourself that that the injections you are forced to inflict on all the troops are poisons. They're bioweapons. Because I think it was Upton Sinclair 120 years ago, somebody like that said, it's very hard to get a man to see something when his paycheck depends on him not seeing it.
Bruce, I just want
So
to interject
go.
quickly. I personally got injured by the COVID jab. And the second jab that I took, and I still have injuries that are still lingering. I've, gotten a little bit better since, 2021, but I still struggle daily. And we're actually speaking with the doctor after you at another interview about this because the mainstream liberal media, and I hate to make it about politics, it really shouldn't be because there is a divide that the people that are behind the closet, behind the closed door, they want us to have this left right divide. And it's really those people that are trying to control you. And unfortunately, people just play into it. It's everybody's calling each other names and this and that. And really, we want simple things for this country. We all want health care, want clean water, clean air. We want to buy a house. I mean, these are simple things, but they make it about all this nonsense. And, that's even you getting into the CIA operations or the FBI at January 6th. I mean, I was a person that was very far to the left before I got injured by the COVID jab. And again, I hate to bring politics, but what's true is true. And I was very much in that left right divide. We got to fight for these
Mm.
liberal values. I was a big Bernie Sanders guy. And it got to the point that, again, when I got injured by the jab, Bruce, no one from the left was trying to help me. They were all making fun of me, saying what I was going through wasn't real, said, get another shot and your symptoms will magically disappear. I mean, it's truly crazy the gaslighting that was going on. Another story for another day. That was a whole PSYOP too, COVID-19, the whole PSYOP game that they were running there. But to just put the exclamation point here, Bruce, they want us to fight against each other. And they're raking the money in with the pockets, starting the new wars. Don't give a damn if you go homeless. Don't give a damn if you got bread or milk or whatever it may be. And if you keep suckering into this by watching Fox News, by watching MSNBC, ABC, NBC, the list goes on, One America, keep doing it
Mm.
because you're just making this country a worse place. You're not trying to make America great. You're just a sucker. You're a plain sucker. Sorry.
No, and my condolences. Are you aware of the wellness company, Peter McCullough's
Yeah,
outfit?
yeah. We've interviewed Peter McCullough. Actually, I just started taking ivermectin. I had a very good friend that got seriously injured. She was taking seizures quite a few days a month, really bad seizures to the point that she couldn't work. I was bedridden for a long time, Bruce. Couldn't work, couldn't do nothing. And now, like I said, I've gotten a little bit better, but I'm still. So I just started taking ivermectin. God willing, we hope that it works. And Peter McCullough is a great man. There was a few doctors, very few doctors, that really stood up against the craziness, the hysteria that was going on in 2020 and beyond. Peter McCullough was one of them. Dr. Mary Talley Bowden, who was on Tucker, who was on Joe Rogan. She's a friend of mine too. She stood up against the medical tyranny. Couple other people, Dr. Robert Malone. But yeah, they're very good people. They're standing up and fighting the good fight against all the nonsense that they're trying to push. And obviously, RFK Jr. is trying his best. I know he's handcuffed in there, but he's really trying his best to fight against all the nonsense and health
Yeah.
industry and stuff in general too.
Yeah, and as important as JFK assassination and 9/11 are, it's
Mhm.
dwarfed by COVID.
Yeah.
The COVID-19 project, where you know, uh, he's not that Mike Yeadon, former Pfizer
Yes.
researcher,
Right.
he says there was no natural pandemic. There was no pandemic. What
Well, what happened to the flu, Bruce? During 2020 and beyond, no one talked about anybody getting the flu. It just magically disappeared in thin air. No one ever got the flu.
I
It
remember
just disappeared.
I
But what
remember seeing
happened?
I remember seeing by, mid late 2020, independent people saying like, or maybe by the next year, gee, isn't it funny that the flu cases declined by almost the exact number of COVID cases we're hearing about,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But what's the point? The point is, oh my gosh, talk about we have to tell ourselves we're adults who can handle the truth. Rob, the beep people behind the scenes who would do something like 9/11 and create phony wars on terror to destabilize the Middle East, to flood Europe with refugees, to open our
Yeah.
borders here, to flood them with refugees, to create division, conflict, violence in the streets, and an identification crisis that could justify a digital ID.
Yep.
There's the one world government prison planet that Alex Jones has been warning about for
Right.
30 effing years. That the New World Order, so called conspiracy theorists, I could tell you chapter and verse about. Do you know who Catherine Austin Fitts is?
I've heard the name.
Ooh, you're gonna love.
I'll have to look
I'll
into it.
send you links and remind me.
Yeah.
She is preaching and teaching irrefutable documentation about the digital control enslavement grid that the Trump administration is aggressively
Yeah.
bringing into place. And the partner to
Bruce, they
that,
have all the technocrats in there. They have Musk. They have Peter Thiel. They they
yeah,
have Ellison, and
they've
Ellison's
they've
buying
got
up all.
Palantir, they've got it all.
Yeah,
And the digital programmable currency is the other handcuff. And every day with electricity is a good day because there are so many bubbles, there's so many economic overreaches, and there's such a plan to control us and sicken us and depopulate us and digitally enslave us that we have to tell ourselves these are the good old days. Every day that you can do a podcast, interview somebody, you should. Every day that I can post some more stuff on Substack, I have my own podcast. I interview people all the time. I've interviewed Dr. Peter McCullough. I've interviewed
great,
Sasha Latipova. I've interviewed
great.
Mary Holland from the Children's Health Defense, Dr. Merrill Nass,
Yeah,
Jim Thorpe of the Wellness
yeah,
Company. And I talk about it. I bring these things up with my normies, all my friends and friends and family that I have. I have a
yeah.
lot of informed friends like you, but I've got a lot of, you know, regular people. I don't know what to call them. I love them,
Yeah.
who
God
just are
bless them.
who still have their head filled with the mainstream. And you know that one of the reasons it's so hard for so many people to consider this evil stuff you and I are talking about is because they're so good, it's just beyond their imagination. They just can't imagine anybody being that evil. They can't imagine anybody being as evil as Dick effing Cheney.
Yeah,
I saw pictures on Facebook yesterday, right? Of everybody assembled in those church pews. And I shared those pictures on Facebook and I wrote above it, while they're all together,
yeah.
flush this toilet.
Isn't it funny though? Dick Cheney used to be hated by the liberals, and now he's admired by the liberals. Same thing as Liz Cheney too, also admired by the liberals. Both endorsed Kamala Harris for president of the United States. Again, I voted for Donald Trump. Believe me, I think he's not doing a good job. He's not doing a good job at all. He's doing a horrendous job, honestly. And I want to get your opinion on this. Then we'll get back into the book. I'm sorry, we've been freewheeling, but I
I'm
think it's
loving
great.
Rob. I want to buy you dinner. These are meat and potatoes conversations for me.
No, we're having a good time, and that's all that counts here, especially in this conversation. I want to ask you this because I sometimes think this. I get asked to call in these radio stations in Delaware and Florida, come on and talk about the issue of the day, the government shutdown, whatever it may be. Long story short, I always thought about this to myself because these Trump people ask me, where was the alternative? I say, well, the alternative was Ron DeSantis, but you guys didn't want him. As a person that, and again, I'm not a cultist. These people that love Trump, they're cultists. In the past, I have been a cultist for Barack Obama, for Bernie Sanders. But again, you live and you learn, you get injured by the COVID jab, and you learn a lot of things about life and what the hell is going on in the country. Beyond that, Bruce, I tell these people, the alternative was Ron DeSantis. You didn't want him. Okay. And what do you guys think, though, if Kamala Harris really would have won the election, just lit the country on fire? I mean, the country's being lit on fire, but it's in a different way right now. But if you lit the country on fire and she allowed more illegal immigration in there, the America First crowd, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly. The list goes on and on. Would fight even harder against Kamala Harris and Joe Biden than they would obviously against Donald Trump. Do you think that would have been good for the country? Maybe it really would have made a revolution in this country instead of Donald Trump, which is just we're just sitting down taking all this security state, like we're eating just our
Hmm.
peas.
It makes me think of people I'm aware of, groups I'm aware of that have completely turned their back on the institutions of power, and they consider America, or at least our current culture and institutions, a lost cause. And they say, "Listen, life is for the living. I've got my family, I've got kids, and I've got these three or four other families, and we're homesteading. We pooled our money, we're buying land, we're learning how to do regenerative farming, grow our own food, cleanse our own water. And here are the cell phones we use that are satellite phones. They're untrackable. Here are the pouches, the Faraday bags, in order to be unsurveillable by wireless." They say, break away and be free, kind of like the Amish. Eventually, the control grid might find me, these people say, but at least every day they don't, I'm free. And I'm as obsessed about all the names and people and news stories you and I have been talking about as you are this whole conversation. But these kind of people, these breakaway people, Derek Bros, his organization, the Conscious Resistance, John Bush, I forget the name of his organization, but you can find these people on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, blah, blah, blah. And they say, do not give an ounce of your precious mind space to what these bozos and clowns and whores and puppets and performers are doing. Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, Dick Cheney, Tucker Carlson, Megan this, and Rachel. Rob, think about it. Think about it. They're not thinking about us. Those are the whirligigs and the balloons and the confetti to make us go, oh, this happened, oh, that happened. And your generation is more F than mine.
Oh, I know.
I'm about 30 years older than you. So
Yeah.
I was in my 40s when smartphones came
Oh,
about, and I see the crack cocaine
yeah.
methamphetamine mind destruction
Right.
that has us all obsessed with flipping. Me too. I start flipping this gosh darn thing, and all of a sudden, where did the last 45 minutes go? I'm only
Right.
human. I'm as susceptible for it. So the point is, like the analogy of Plato's cave, all these figures that we're talking about, they are time wasters. Every one of those minutes, if we had
Yeah.
read a good book or learned what fertilizer grows a tomato faster, would be time better spent learning how to play a musical instrument. Anything in real life to develop our heart, soul, skills, talents, and love and appreciation for life.
Yeah. It's truly sad, and it's not even just my generation; it's the Generation Z crowd coming in. I mean, they're totally screwed hard. I mean, we're screwed, but they're screwed. The millennials are screwed. Gen Z is screwed as well. I want to ask you this last question because we are running out of time. We have to
No,
get
we're not. No, we're not. Are we?
we have to get you on again because this is very free flowing.
We
I'm
just
really enjoying
started.
this.
Okay, good. All right.
I know. We did just start. We could be on here for about 5 hours. And if I would be on here for longer if I didn't have something with we're interviewing a COVID doctor that lost his medical license due to giving
All right. I'm
ivermectin.
only going to let you go because you have an appointment. Otherwise, I'd grab you by the shirt there and say no.
But I want to ask you this because this has been in the news constantly the past few months, honestly, since October 7th of 2023. So probably even longer than that. Um, obviously what happened with Israel and Hamas. There's people that, are in favor of Hamas. There's people that are in favor of Israel. There's a lot of people on the right now that are fighting against Israel. Again, and then there's people on the right that are also against Hamas. So, what is this Israel divide? Do you feel like this is some kind of play because to be fair, again, we're not trying to be anti-Israel here, but to be fair, they are very much involved in world affairs. They have the best spies in the world. They have been, Mike Huckabee just was meeting with somebody that was locked up in a American prison for 30 years as a spy. He was giving American intelligence to the Soviets back in the 80s. We locked him up because he was a spy for Israel. He just got released back to Israel. He's going to run for office in Israel. Mike Huckabee met with him. He was met at the airport by Netanyahu, said he's a loyalist to Israel and not to America and all this other nonsense. It seems like things are coming to a head, specifically after the Charlie Kirk issue happened. There was a lot of talk about Israel. Netanyahu came out quite a few times saying he wasn't involved. Candace Owens, a right-wing pundit, is doing a lot of this stuff saying that Israel is involved. A lot of Israeli podcasters that are American and Israeli pushing back against this. What do you feel like this? Is this a psyop? Is this real life?
Hmm. Well,
I'm giving you the
generally,
tough questions.
no, I'll try to stick to the point. It's like most conflicts as I see them that are at this level, they are psyops.
Yeah,
And one has to read enough history to know, like, oh, okay, this is where this comes from. This is how this is more of the same. I've read about the formation of Israel and the 100 years before that and the Zionist movement. So, um, and this is distinct from the people. The Israeli citizens, just like the American citizens, are are innocent to a certain degree. And then if you work for institutions and you don't question the morality of what they do, then it's on you. Whether you're an American soldier, I'm just following orders. I'm going over and killing Afghanis and Iraqis. I'm just following orders. That's what the Nazi soldiers said to justify bulldozing, Jewish people into incinerators. I'm just following orders. In the 1940s, in the aftermath of World War II, that no longer was accepted,
right.
and there were codes of lawful conduct, international law that makes that unacceptable. Unfortunately, what Israel is doing is as bad as anything that the Nazi regime was doing.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's not just me talking. It's a lot of real historians who are looking at that. But at the end of the day, first and foremost, what Israel is doing to Palestinians in Gaza is what those in power have done since the beginning of time: butcher and slaughter for human sacrifices, and to maintain power, accrue more power, dominate and control areas that have natural resources that you want, and increase your lockhold, the ruling party in power, maintaining it in complete collusion with the United States. And now, this is a big topic. I'll try and do it real briefly. Ever since we had our independence, Britain has been infiltrating forces in the United States to re-control the United States. And some generations they had a lot more control. Some generations they had a lot less control. Since the 1960s, with the loss of the Kennedys and Martin Luther King, the deep state is really it's a partnership with the English and the British Empire, and it's Alex Craner and others call it the Anglo-American Empire. And we are a brutal world empire. We've been the evil empire since World War II. We never retrenched. We never turned our swords back into plowshares. We never demilitarized. We didn't disarm. And back in the 40s and 50s and early 60s under Kennedy, that's what was part of the conversation, in addition to the Cold War, was get back to not this perpetual state of war. But notice for the last 70 years, we're in a perpetual state of war because in the 1940s, the military industrial complex ballooned for World War II, and the bankers and the corporate and the rich families and the corporate powers said, we're never backing away from this. So it's all war all the time. And that's a major function of forcing a Jewish-only state into that region in the 1940s, was to have perpetual conflict because it's great for business. That's the bottom line.
There's so much I want to really dive into with you. We have to do this another time because we didn't even hit the surface of any of this. But I'd love to have you on again. Again, Bruce, thanks so much for your time. BruceDeTorres.com. Definitely check him out. And we do hope that you go and get the book there. If you don't go there and get the book on Amazon, but you do go to BruceDeTorres.com. He is the director of communications for the American Small Business League. We didn't even get into that. The book is God, School, 9/11, and JFK, The Lies That Are Killing Us and the Truth That Sets Us Free. Again, definitely buy the book at BruceDeTorres.com. If you can't, then go on Amazon. But Bruce, thanks so much for your time tonight. I appreciate you.
I want to come back.
We need to come back. We need to do
Okay,
this.
good.